Hello, my name is Dunerid, and we are gonna build a PC.
Well, that's how the video would have been a couple years ago. Badoo! Oh, got a bow! Badoosh!
Well, this bitch died!
Bye-bye, Genja! Would you like to play games like Fortnite? Maybe something a little bit like Overwatch. And if you want to get in some MMOs, probably picking up the new expansion for World of Warcraft. Well, I built a computer that was pretty cheap, and I want to show y'all how it performs when it comes down to these very games, and one or two extra ones down the line. And I'm hoping that y'all actually enjoy it. Hi, my name is Dunerid, and this is my video. Let's start out with most of my parts list. This is an Asus P5Q LGA 775 motherboard that I was able to pick up for around $30 to $40 on eBay. And then I got this Zotac GTX 750 Ti also on Craigslist for around really $60. Yeah, that's exactly what I paid for it. And that was actually a great price for something like that compared to the GT 1030.
The power supply.
The thud makes me laugh so hard. But this is my 400 watt Intech power supply that I got at a local store for roughly around $30. To be honest, you can get a good power supply for pretty cheap nowadays. And this is a 160 gig hard drive that I bought for around $10, even less, just so I can get the system started and running. And then I got my G-Skill DDR3 Ripjaw RAM running at a 1066 megahertz, two 4 gig sticks. And then we have the Q6700 running at 2.66 gigahertz. When I bought this thing, it was like $22, but now you can get this thing as low as like 10, and that's pretty good for what I'm about to show you. And then we have my Xeon X5460 processor running at 3.1 gigahertz that came with all the mods needed to get it equipped, and you could get this thing $30, probably a little less if you don't mind adding some of the mods yourself. Then, just like all Intel processors, I had to buy a cooler. And you see that old me is waving his hands around like a prima donna. And this is the Freezer 7 Pro, and I bought it at the local computer store, and it does very well. Now I'm going to send some B-roll of me putting the computer together with some music. I hope you enjoy, and then I'll tell you the rest. Okay, let's talk about Fortnite on a Q6700. I have to admit, my experiences were pretty good, with not many issues other than the frames being jumpy, but usually I just put it at 30 and didn't have any issues. But what we're going to do, I'm going to show you all the stuff I have it set on. I did have it on medium, but no. What I want to show you first is epic. We're going to put it on epic, and we can show you how it how it runs. Right now you'll probably see a little bit of screen tearing. That is because of my Elgato. I'm sorry, it's old. But you can see that it's a little bit skittish, and we're in the 20s. It's not that great. It's pretty shitty. But yeah, think you're not gonna get epic running on a GTX 750 Ti and this low of a processor. But I skipped it a little bit here, and we're going to eventually put it down some. We're going to put the stuff down a little bit. We'll go to high. We're going to go to high. And you see that it is running a tad bit better. I think we're staying like high 20s, low 30s. And it ain't that bad. And this is actually in combat. Reason why I do 50 on 50, because it's very intensive with all the players on the screen and stuff. It's worst case scenario having so many people in so many buildings. And that guy got pop short on me. So now we're going to switch it to medium, where I usually play it on. And you can see a massive difference. You see a much better state when it comes down to the frame rate. There is a little bit of jumpy here or there, but I think that's just because I think when I changed to this setting, I started the game over again, and it just needs time to warm up, it seems. Other than that, it becomes very playable as I continuously show you throughout these few clips. And keep in mind, we still have a Xeon to look at later on in this video. You see how this is running just far better. We're in the, what, 70s now? 70s, 60s? On this combo. And that's really good. We could barely hit 20s before this. So this is definitely a good sign for the Q6700 with a GTX 750 Ti. But here's another thing. The Fortnite is built around those two companies anyways. The Unreal Engine favors Intel and NVIDIA, just telling you if you are really wanting to play this game. You see, look, we're doing very good. I mean, the frames are kind of everywhere, kind of sucks, but it's not that bad. You could probably set it at the vertical sync onto 30, and you would never really notice it. It will suck being on 30, but crap, if you're playing on mobile, this is far better than what mobile's doing right now. And I forgot what freak was happening here. I was like, where's everyone? Oh my god! Don't stop shooting them! Oh my god! Freaking vultures. Okay, so let's now talk about Overwatch. Another game that's a pretty esports title type game. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I can tell you that it runs very well. I mean, usually we're like right in the 30s, but the effects are pretty high and a multitude of other stuff. And that's why I'm just showing you some gameplay here just to get some idea of how it's actually responding and how good it's actually looking on this combo. Another game that kind of favors NVIDIA, so it definitely works out. And it's a game that really uses the GPU a lot more than the CPU. Most esports titles should. And you can tell it just looks very fluid. It probably doesn't look fluid in the recording because of my shit ass Elgato, but definitely something that if you're able to get a hold of a system that has a Q6700 and 60, yeah, and you're a big fan of Overwatch or esports styles, like I said before, it's not a bad thing to do, especially if it's going to be a computer that you're going to be starting out with. This is definitely something I would be like, if my little cousin wanted a computer just to play Overwatch or Fortnite, I would throw them a Q6700, definitely. Oh, Farah always getting took out by a soldier alt, always. Now, World of Warcraft. I know there's other MMOs out there, it's just right now, I believe, because World of Warcraft is going through one of its big expansions right now, it'll probably be a game that a good amount of people are going to jump back in. And it gauges pretty well to older hardware, knowing how old it is, even though it's had multiple updates. And that's why I chose this part of the of World of Warcraft, the Demon Hunter starting area, because there's loads of effects and creatures. There's lots happening in this area, and I feel like that would be a good place to start out. And the settings are put at a pretty decent spot, and we see some pretty good frames around the I think I've seen them go as low as 40, but they range from like the 70s to the 40s, done very well. So looking at that, a $200-ish computer, if you're wanting to play a good chunk of PC games, you can do it pretty well, especially in a game, like I said, like Overwatch. This is a game that I wanted to talk about for a while. For Honor had a really rough start, but it's gotten on its legs this recent couple of months with patches, and it's became a very, very, very good game. And I thought it would be great to talk about with this Q6600, 6700, oh my god, and show you some benchmarks. Here we set everything to low, just to show you how well the Q6700 and the GTX 750 Ti does in a game like this. To be honest, it does very well, keeping above that 30 frames per second recommendation that it has. One thing though is this game is really GPU demanding than it is CPU. So, if you're wanting to play For Honor and you want to play with PC friends, you really don't need that great of a CPU to actually get good performance out of this extremely lovely game. I'm going to go through this benchmark, and then we'll go and change the settings around a little bit. And I'm not going to show that benchmark, but I'll at least show you the results. Because, oh god, I remember when this game first came out, I was like, oh, this game is so sexy. And the combat's still fun. You're going to get a match of mine in a little bit. Look at all those little people down there. Oh my god. With a low of 45 frames and a high of 80 frames, that is good. That's definitely good, definitely playable for a game like this. So now let's go jump up the settings, at least one up. Let's go one up. That's texture filtering. We'll pump that up. And I know anti-aliasing is one thing that's pretty hard on GPUs, so we're going to hold that off. Bump up the detail. Bump up the quality. Bump up that dynamic shadows. Environmental. Heck yeah, bump that up, boy. Omni occlusion. We know that screws with GPUs bad. Dynamic reflections. We're not going to do that. And we're going to add some motion blur to probably help ease out some stuff. And then when you look here, a low of 42. Okay, understandable. And a high of 67. Those actually aren't bad. And that's making the game look a little bit better and stuff like that. And you could probably mess with the settings a little bit more back and forth to even out those lows. We're going to see something different when we hit up the Xeon. And now I'm going to show you some gameplay and stuff and see if you enjoy it. I'm going to try to talk my best way through it. It was a while since I played this game, so please people, be gentle. And I completely forgot my controls. I forgot how to lock on. I was like, how do I can't block. I can just run. Stop hitting me with your sword. And then I die. Even though I want to play that character, so I want the Scottish Claymore. Ugh. And if you can tell, it's very playable. Even though this is a one-on-one duel, I didn't get to do the big ones. Oh, and I finally learned how to freaking lock on. In the face, motherfucker! I was here back in beta. And I tried to do a bot match because I didn't want to have to worry about playing against a player. And oh, in the cheek! There we go. Fatality. Like I said, I love this game. I hated that they had the peer-to-peer issues when it first came out. But they've done really good fixing it. And no matter what, it looks good. This game looks magnificently good. Even with the effects turned down the way they are, the fire effects in the back look awesome. Stop up striking me from above! I know your sword is big and you have a hard time controlling it. Dear God. Could be an average man like me. Oh, that unblockable bull crap. Oh, yeah, and in the face! Oh, I had such a fun time playing. Oh god, this, oh my god. And like I said, when we get to the Xeon, that is next, we can see how well they put out. We'll see how well the Xeon matches with the Q6700. Oh. Come on, big boy. Come on, big boy. Oh, did you see that crap? Oh, no, blood, no. Boy. Take that, boy. Oh, swordsmith in your ass. Oh. Boop. Boogada. Victory. Victory, boy. Now it's time to put in our Xeon processor, the X5460. And the YouTube channel that I got all this information from has everything that you need to be able to do it. And that's Tech Yes City channel. He does all that you need. He tells you good tips and tricks to be able to get the processor in there. And websites that you'll have to go to get the microcode and stuff. I advise if you're wanting to do this mod or just see other stuff he does. He does so much cool low budget stuff. His link will be in the description. So let's get to some games. Well, first up will have to be Fortnite. And I had a very strange issue with this game when I first booted up the computer, where I had some strange red light, green light effect when I was moving. But other than that, the frames are really good. And the game looked good. It's just the very strange stutter. See, like, red light, green light. Oh, I forgot I had to check the settings. Just to show you that we were doing medium. I tried to see about going into Windows to fix it. Green light. Red light, green light. Red light, green light. And I did fix this by just rebooting the computer. Maybe just the motherboard was just not used to having that Xeon in it. And look how fast I'm swinging. Oh my god. I even got some kills in this match. Like this poor guy here. He just did not know how to play red light, green light. Badoosh! Bye-bye, buddy. See you next game. I think I got like around 3 kills like this, but I didn't know how I was getting these kills. It made no sense. I even got the last kill of the match that just blew my mind. Just watch this shit. I'm just sitting there. I didn't know the match is 4-1, and then red light, red light. Well, now I actually moved some of these settings up, and if you look, we're getting great frames right now. Very consistent and very well done frame. I know I'm saying the wrong shit. And these frames are so good that we were getting around an average. I don't have a low end because whenever I done fraps, our average with those settings was around 50 to 60 frames per second average, with a max of 98 frames per second. And that's with the settings that you just now saw. And that's amazing compared that we were getting probably 40s to almost 50 with the Q6700. So definitely really good scores coming with the oh come on. I hate trying to shoot that guy. I was like, really? Stand still, and he moves just a centimeter. Oh my god. But looking at it, this is running great. And this is still under $200. Or not under $200, under $300. I realize I am freaking like surrounded here. So next, let's go ahead and go to Overwatch. After I get killed, just trying to shoot people. There's people on the freaking mountain. There's some people to my left here. That's why I'm looking this way. Just trying to bandage up. I see somebody coming up there. I'm like, and then there's that person. I'm like, well, I can't heal up. This fucking sucks. Two of y'all freaking gangbanging me and shit. That is messed up. With these settings that I'm doing right here, we actually see very playable frame rates, as the average was around 80 frames per second. The lowest was 46 frames per second, as the high was right like near 100. So it played super well in this title. Now it's World of Warcraft, and this was a pretty impressive leap because we were seeing frames within the 90s, and I think the lowest was like maybe 55 was the lowest I was seeing through this, and it was just very buttery smooth. It was really nice to actually start running like this, and it makes a good promise for something like this if you actually could get this stuff on the cheap. And the next thing we'll be seeing is those pesky For Honor benchmarks. Ugh, I love the Demon Hunter so much. Just, you feel like you could just chop so much stuff down so nicely. It's such an awesome feeling. And here's the benchmark results for Honor. And if you look at it, these are using the same settings, but this time we see a little bit more of a boost to our minimum frames, but not that much boost to our max. That is actually pretty decent because it shows that the frames are a little bit closer together and becomes a far better thing. And you see where I think the only thing I had boosted up is, I think, texture quality I put on high. So I could have put that on medium and have actually gotten an even better result of frames. What do I get from this? If you're wanting to get into PC gaming, you have all the options in the world to build a PC. It also depends on what you're wanting to. If you're wanting just to game on PC games, like probably even some Five Nights at Freddy's, or some older Civilization games, or some Amnesia. PC gaming has so many options for games that no matter what computer you build, you'll get to play most of them. And would I build a 6700 for somebody that's just starting out into PC gaming that probably doesn't have a new console and they just want something to be able to play on. Yes, I would. Especially knowing that you can get a processor, a motherboard, and RAM for, God, under $100 right there. And then being able to upgrade it to a Xeon processor and get these pretty good jumps of performance that we've been actually seeing. Other than that, please like, subscribe, and if you have any comments, please put them down below. But see you later.